So we're going to cover Bitcoin today and the cryptocurrency market because we have obviously lost the 40k level on a big dump. So we're going to give you basically the key levels that you need to be watching out for, what we can expect next, and I'll tell you as well what I'm personally doing with my positions in the market, okay? So if you like the content, please go ahead and drop me a like down below. Really helps me out and helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more of these videos daily, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with market on a daily basis. So let's get straight into it. Now, we obviously spoke about the key levels, okay? And I was not expecting 40k to break so easily, but we have, okay? And we'll go through some correlations of the S&P and whatnot a little bit later because we're highly correlated with that. But, you know, essentially we've lost this level. We're now basically puncturing down here, and we said if we get any impulsive move down here, okay, on the weekly, and we start closing down here, then we can expect lower prices, and that opens the door for the 30k level, okay? So the main levels that I'm currently looking out for, okay, are going to be 35, 30, and 25, and I'll show you why. Now, the only way that this potential pattern and price action can be invalidated for me is if we make some kind of quick resumption back up here and we reclaim 40k, okay? Although currently, clearly that does not look like the most likely scenario, and we're essentially breaking down from a key level which isn't good for price action unless you're a bear. Your first indication was yesterday where we got this big wick up here and we pumped up about 4%, but we actually, if we just zoom down onto the hourly chart, right, you can see that we absolutely fell apart, and the selling was you know, a far more a greater pace than when we previously sold off from those levels. So that was telling you there was a lot of weakness in the market, and if we look at the S&P, that was also selling off very heavily, which resulted in us losing this this key level over here. Now, the fact that we only reached 44k and we didn't go up to any of the other fib targets, okay, and this whole weakness in the market here where we really didn't get any kind of, you know, push up, and we basically just consolidated sideways and moved down, tells me that momentum is very strong to the downside, and we can expect much lower prices potentially, okay? Like I said, as long as we don't come up here and reclaim, you know, that 40k region, and we do something, you know, really quickly, then fair enough. But you know, the bias has to be to the downside, okay? I'm not saying sell everything, I'm just saying expect it. So just manage your positions in a way where you're either comfortable with what you have, you're happy to hold spot, and you can just like walk away. If you need to, like, you know, lose, if you need to take off any positions to manage your portfolio, then obviously do that, okay? But look, I'm just telling you what we can see from the chart from current levels. So whenever we broke down from the 40k level, we can see that we typically break down very violently, okay, and we make impulsive move, and the first stop that we get is somewhere around here, which is the $34,500 region, where whenever we come down here, we do tend to get a reaction here, and maybe that would be my first area to look out for some kind of potential bounce, okay? And obviously the big floor support is going to be at 30k, which is the obvious level that everyone's looking out for, which you would definitely expect to see buyers step in at that level, okay, for sure, right? So, you know, maybe a potential move might be in the market that we somehow come up to here, maybe we retest 40k first, and then we move back down to here, and then maybe we come up to here again, retest some of these overhead supply regions that we might create potentially, okay, and then we basically fall apart into 30k, okay? So I'm just giving you a potential scenario with how things are going, because we are on a strong downtrend. You know, that's the main trend line to watch. So maybe we come retest this at some point, and then we come back down. But you know, the momentum is strong to the downside, and until you see any kind of shift in the market, that is the bias that I would be having for the moment. So like I said, the way that I'm dealing with it is I'm personally neutral at the moment. I'm happy to buy back with some sort of higher time frame reclaim of the 40k region. So you know, just wait for a pattern to give you some sort of indication, or look for those key support regions, see if we get a reaction there. Now, it is important, I think, as well to talk about how market can bottom, because if we are going lower, okay, another thing that we can look out for is big capitulation and volume wicks. Okay, so what I mean by that is if we bring up the volume, okay, currently this is basically still a, you know, a big, it's just a big downtrend with steady sell-off, and we're stair-stepping down. I would like to personally see some kind of high volume wick over here where we absolutely capitulate and almost just rip the band-aid off, and just go straight down into some key area of support, where we get one of those days where it's like minus 20, minus 25%, and some of all the alts have been hammered, and some of them are like minus 35% and whatnot. So that's basically what I would be looking out for as a potential reversal sign. Okay, so we got that here. And at the minute we're just stair-stepping. Volume isn't very high, but we're breaking key support. So this also reminds me, because I was back here in 2017, 2018, it definitely reminds me a little bit, if any of you remember this and you were around, let me know. It reminds me a little bit of this move over here, where we're just grinding down, everyone's just saying buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And then eventually we got this day that was minus 30%, and with this very high volume candle over here, okay, at least gave us some sort of relief or a bounce to the upside where we basically doubled in price, okay. So that's sort of what I'd be looking out for, okay. Is like, you know, maybe we do something similar to this where you know, we created this sort of big low, and then we just chopped around, couldn't make any sort of push higher, saw weakness in the market, push down, okay, make a few you know, 10-15% failed rallies up here, and then we just capitulate over here. Like I said, this candle over here, this whole price action was a minus 30% dip on the day for Bitcoin. So I'm very hardened veteran, I've been around for ages, and this stuff doesn't really scare me. It's all just part of the market conditions. You should be knowing what you're signing up for as soon as you get into this stuff. So yeah, and again, similar here, how market bottomed, we can see we probably got, checking the volume, that was the COVID low, we got big capitulation over here. So just look for those key areas for the downside, and I can't really give you any upside targets until we see any kind of signs of reversal, okay, or reclaim of those key areas. So until Bitcoin shows us, okay, that's basically what I'd be looking out for. Now there is an area over here which is somewhere in and around that 23, 25, 26 mark that I've highlighted here in this big green box, around that 25k level, okay, because now if we take the fib extension from the impulsive wave from November the 10th down to that liquidation low in December, you can see that the 1.618 extension of that move puts us at about 26k, and if we take an extension of the retracement, again, 1-to-1 over there puts us about 24, 25. So that's some sort of area of confidence where if we potentially undercut these lows, which I think is a possibility, okay, over here at 30k, eventually, we might eventually do that, okay, we might get some sort of spike down to this level. So just saying, just have these numbers in mind, because if we overshot to the upside to basically trap everyone in some longs, okay, we can definitely overshoot to the downside and trap everyone in some shorts over here, okay. So like I said, just something to be aware of in terms of price. And if we have a look at some of the weekly and monthly EMAs, okay, we can see that the 200-day moving average, okay, is somewhere coming up here, which is definitely your signal of some kind of market bottom should we reach that level. We're quite a ways away off from that, but I'm just giving you stuff to look out for that you need to be aware of, okay. And if we have a look at some of the fib EMAs on the monthly, okay, interestingly enough, is we actually got a touch down here, would be this is the Coinbase chart, so it doesn't actually go back far enough, but we were here at the 55 week EMA, sorry, 55 monthly EMA. And by the time we reach down there, you know, if we chop around, that might be in confluence with that zone as well. So just something to look out for as a potential sign that if we do break this, I would say that the next level is about 25,000 if we break and close below this 30k region, okay. So that's essentially what I'm looking at for the moment. I would expect all the altcoins to bleed harder, okay, nothing else to no surprises there really. So obviously most of the alts are down worse than Bitcoin, although at the minute, you know, a lot of them are holding up quite well, but you know, a lot of them have you know, potentially a lot lower to go, especially ones that have pumped quite hard recently. So if you're holding altcoin positions, just be aware that, you know, you might get a you know, expect basically further downside on your altcoins in current market conditions. Bitcoin dominance, we're seeing some kind of bounce here. I would like to see this still increase further to the upside. Okay, so you know, if we get a bounce from here and we start to move into some sort of, you know, we're in a severe downtrend, but if we move into some kind of bear market and sustained downward pressure, expect the BTC dominance to increase, okay, and to flush out some of the altcoins, some of the shit coins in the space. That's essentially how this works. It's almost like a bit of a cleansing, if you like, of the space. So that's pretty much that. And you can see with the S&P, if we have a look at that, we've basically broken this upward channel. So definitely a lot of downward momentum on the equity markets, and these are going to be highly correlated to Bitcoin. So you can see that when people are going risk off in the S&P and the Nasdaq, which is looking pretty similar, okay, and we're looking for downward pressure, expect something similar on Bitcoin. So like I said, we'll try to find some confluence as well in the next few weeks or month or whatever, and see if we get some sort of bottom and pattern in the S&P. So keep an eye out on that for any kind of bottom. Maybe we start to challenge at least some of these lows over here on the S&P, which are about 4,300, which is about another 4 to 5% move before you know, we get any kind of relief or bounce. But if you're buying now, you just need to realize that you are potentially, well, you are catching a falling knife, so you just need to be aware of that. And if you're buying and adding into spot at these levels for longer term prices, I think you're okay. I don't think you need to worry about that too much if it's money that you don't need tomorrow. Okay, not financial advice, of course. So that's basically how I'd be looking at the market. And you know, obviously some of the majors like Cardano, maybe expect a retest of some of these levels. We spoke about the downside targets on things like Ethereum, Cardano, AVAX, Luna, a lot of these coins. So yeah, so just expect more downwards pressure and to hit some of those key levels for a lot of the altcoins. So yeah, and then you know, these are typically the times, not exactly now, but you know, these market conditions when, especially if we get some sort of big capitulation and big flush out to the downside, they are typically the best and biggest buying opportunities that you will get. Okay, so when we get these big downward moves, they're with maximum fear, high volume selling, okay, and you're just like buying for spot, the chances of you know, buying when you get that peak capitulation, right, is, you know, you're giving yourself a much higher chance of buying the bottom and, you know, buying stuff at discounted prices. And remember, nothing has fundamentally changed about Bitcoin or a lot of your other projects, okay? You're just basically being offered them, okay, at a much higher discount. And just expect this. You know, you need to expect this sort of stuff from crypto. So yeah, that's essentially my take on the market, and hopefully that doesn't scare you too much, and actually just you know, better prepares you for the market and what may lie ahead. So let's see how we close this week. If we close this week, especially from the daily and onto the weekly, towards these lower levels, well, below 40k is really the level to be watching out for, then, you know, expect lower price targets. Maybe for me, a first real sign of any kind of bounce where we get any sort of like buying pressure for at least some relief is 35. 30k I would expect to hold as some sort of support, at least some sort of relief rally. And, you know, some of these rallies as well, just to, even if we do go lower and we came to like 25, you know, a lot of these rallies, if you buy from here at like 30k, some bear market rallies, if we are in a bear market, can be very violent, and some of the best rallies to play, right? You know, you can see from here just up to like the 40k level is about, you know, 35-40%. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. So hopefully you got some value from that. Like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll try to keep you up to date with with my own positions and what I'm seeing in the market. But yeah, you just have to be objective and just go, you know, we're hoping to hold 40k, we didn't hold. If we're closing down here on lower on higher time frames, expect lower prices. Don't try to you know, go against the trend, as they say. So catch you in the next video. Peace out.